Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
So now let us look at topic 4. In this topic 4, we will look at the changes in the weather which leads to the formation of different seasons in India. Okay, so we have already now understood how there is a change in the weather in different parts of the country. We learned that in peninsular or southern part of India, the temperature rises or the temperature remains moderate because of the influence of the ocean and the sea which surrounds it. And if you come to the north, the temperature increases or decreases drastically. So the temperature is different from that of the peninsular India. Now with that, the weather also changes between the different parts of India. Now with that change in weather, the change in season occurs. Now seasons are changes in temperature, changes in weather with distinct pattern in rainfall that occurs in a rhythmic pattern. Okay, so certain pattern in the rainfall, in the temperature occurs for a certain amount of time. Again, for the next few months, that changes. Okay, that varies. Again, in the next month, it goes on to varying that temperature or in that pattern of rainfall. So that is seasons basically. So there is difference in temperature. Okay, but the difference in temperature again also depends on where that region is located, because in the coastal areas which are in the southern western Ghats and the eastern Ghats of the southern or the peninsular part of India, these areas or these regions do not experience much difference in the temperature like those regions in the north, like that region in the west or the east. But they also experience rainfall. Okay, they experience rainfall although in a varying amount than the other parts, than the northern part of India, than the western part of India. So all these are characteristics of the seasons that India experiences throughout the year. So in India, we have 4 main seasons, okay, 4 different seasons. And those seasons are first the hot weather season or the summer season. The second is the cold weather season or the winter season. Alright. And the third is advancing monsoon season. That's the time where the rain is experienced in parts of India. The fourth is the retreating monsoon season. That is the time where the monsoon or the rain ends or the stops, okay, or stops, or different parts of areas stops experiencing rainfall. So these are the 4 different seasons that India experiences. Now before we go on, let me briefly ask you if you remember what monsoon means, right? We know that monsoon is not actually the rain. We often understand monsoon as rain, but monsoon is actually wind. It is the wind which flows getting influenced by the rise or the decrease in temperature and also the direction that it flows. And with the flow of the wind in the direction that it flows, it carries moisture. And that moisture then gets converted into raindrops, and that is what causes rainfall in certain areas. So monsoon is basically the wind, right? So whenever we are referring to monsoon in the later part of the topic or the chapter, do not get confused, because sometimes we are referring to basically the wind and not the rain. So let us look at the first season, which is the hot weather season or commonly known as summer season, right? During the hot weather season, the sun moves northwards. So that doesn't mean that the sun literally is moving northwards. The earth is facing in such a manner that the sun's rays falls directly on the northern hemisphere. Northwards means northern hemisphere. Okay. So if this is the earth, this is the North Pole, South Pole, equator. This is the northern hemisphere and here is the southern hemisphere. The equator divides the earth into two halves, northern and southern. Okay. So during the summer, the sun is in a same position. It does not move. Okay. It rotates, it revolves. It does not move. The earth revolves and rotates and it is tilted. Okay, on the axis. And now during the summer season, hot summer season, the sun rays fall directly on the northern hemisphere. Alright. So the direct rays of the sun falls on the Tropic of Cancer. In the northern hemisphere we have Tropic of Cancer. Right? The Tropic of Cancer also divides our country in almost two equal halves. Okay. And because of that, the global heat belt shifts northwards. The northern hemisphere becomes warmer. Okay. And this causes India or the regions that lie in the northern hemisphere to have hot weather season from the months of March to May. Okay, because the rays are falling directly on the Tropic of Cancer and the areas which lie in that part or in that latitude, which is Tropic of Cancer, feels or experiences hot weather season. Okay, in a similar manner, India also experiences hot season, and that hot season is experienced exactly from the months of March to May. Okay, but just because we say India experiences hot weather season does not mean all the states, all the parts of our country has same temperature. We must remember that the temperature which can be recorded from various states of our country is different. Okay, it's not same. Although we are all having summertime, all the states experience hot summer season, but the temperature which are recorded from each state varies. The temperature which is recorded from each region is different from one another. Okay, that is why in the month of March, Deccan Plateau, we know where the Deccan Plateau is, right, in the peninsular part of India. The highest temperature that it experiences is in March, and that is 38 degrees Celsius. But when you look at Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat is in the west and Madhya Pradesh just next to Gujarat. There the temperature is 42 degrees Celsius in April. Okay. Now if you move northern part of the western region. So if you look at the northwestern region of India, then the temperature that can be recorded from this area is 48 degrees Celsius in May. These are the highest average temperatures that are recorded from these areas. So if you notice, look at the difference in the temperatures that are being recorded, right? So they are not same, although they're all having hot summer season, hot weather season, but the temperature that they experience are different from one another. One may be hot but not as hot as the other region. The other region may be warm but not as hot as the other region. Okay, this is something that you must keep in mind. Now, if you come to the peninsular part of India, we have already done this in the earlier sections, and I have repeatedly told you, because of how it is surrounded by water bodies on three sides, the climate, the temperature, the weather that it experiences is always influenced by that. Okay, so even during the summer, when the temperature is high, but still, because of the moderating effect of the ocean, it is not as high as the northern part of India or the northwestern region of our country. Okay, so that is why the Deccan Plateau, which is in the peninsular part of India, it records its summer temperature, the hot weather season temperature, as 38 degrees Celsius. But if you move further northwest, which is far away from the water bodies or from the ocean or the sea, right? The ocean that surrounds the peninsula in India is Indian Ocean, and there are two seas on either side. One is Bay of Bengal and the other is Arabian Sea. So if you look at, say for example, Punjab is very far away from Arabian Sea or the Indian Ocean. So the moderating effect of the ocean will be very less, okay, will be minimum than the Deccan Plateau. That is why during the summer, the temperature that it records is 48 degrees Celsius. Look at the difference between the temperature recorded at Deccan Plateau and the northwestern part of India. So they are different, and the difference between them is 10 degrees Celsius. Alright. Now, during the summer, the temperature rises. Until now, we are learning how the temperature rises. Now, when the temperature rises, when there is an increase in the temperature, the air pressure in the atmosphere decreases. Okay, with the rise of temperature, the air pressure falls. Okay, so a low air pressure area is developed in northern part of India or North India by the end of the month of May. Okay, so this low pressure area extends from Thar Desert in Rajasthan to Patna and Chota Nagpur Plateau in the east. So from west to east, the whole stretch of land, it experiences low pressure condition. Okay, their low pressure develops because of the fall in air pressure and increase in the temperature. Now, since we said that this area from Rajasthan to Bihar, this area, if this area is experiencing low pressure, then the surrounding area will not be also developing low pressure. Okay, they will have high pressure because outside of this pressure area, the surrounding area is cooler. This area extending from Thar Desert to Chota Nagpur Plateau, this has low pressure because the temperature is high and the air pressure is low. But the surrounding area, the area outside of it, is cooler, which means the temperature is low. That means the air pressure increases. Okay, so this sounds a bit confusing, but you must remember, with the rise in temperature, the air pressure falls. With the decrease in temperature, the air pressure rises. Okay, so in the areas outside of this low pressure area, high pressure develops. Okay, high pressure develops, and now the southeast trade wind is attracted by such development of weather condition. Okay, the wind always blows from high to low. The North India, the region of North India, is a low pressure area during summer. Now, because it's a low pressure area, it attracts wind, and that wind is southeast trade wind, and that wind is attracted from the other high pressure area, because the wind blows from high pressure to the low pressure. Okay, so this wind actually blows from southeast to southwest in the southern part of India. So it blows from the southeastern part. Okay, so from the southeastern part it blows towards the southwestern part of southern India. Okay, and then it goes towards the mainland, which is towards the northern part of India. Okay, and from there it blows from southwest to northeast. So from southeast, the southeast trade wind blows towards the southwest. Okay, and from the southwest it is moving towards the northeast. Okay, so now this happens during the summertime, during the hot weather season. Okay, now when the hot weather season ends, the southwest monsoon, this southeast trade wind, which moved from southeast to southwest and then to northeast, east. Okay, so this very wind, it sets the monsoon by the month of June in India. Okay, that means it brings rain. Okay, and then rainfall begins to be experienced by the parts of our country. Okay, now this wind, along with the rain, it also brings thunderstorms with strong dusty wind. Okay, so the wind is very strong. It has moisture which brings rain, and it also brings lot of dust. Okay, that wind is very dusty because of how strong the wind is, because of what it carries along with it. It causes thunderstorms along with shower. Shower means rain, rainfall. Okay, and that is experienced in the whole of North India. So in Punjab, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, such weather conditions are experienced. Okay, now this wind, which brings shower as well as thunderstorms, it has local names. Okay, it is called by different names in different places. Now let us look at those names. The first is Kali Baisakhi. Okay, now Kali Baisakhi is the name given to that wind which originates, or which is actually the southeast trade wind, right? So this wind is called Kali Baisakhi in the state of West Bengal, not in other parts of the country, but where? In West Bengal. Okay, and this is given, this is named so, this is called so because it refers to the calamity of the month of Baisakhi. So Baisakhi is the name of the month. Okay, the local name of the month, and it refers to basically the English month of April and May. Okay, the time between April and May is Baisakh. Okay, so because this wind brings calamity, brings thunderstorm, brings shower, brings rain during the month of April and May, the wind is called Kali Baisakhi, but not everywhere, only in West Bengal. Okay, it blows in northwest direction. Okay, and this is accompanied by thunderstorms and heavy rain, as we all know by now. And this rain that is brought by Kali Baisakhi is very important for some of the crops, and especially the tea crop in the state of Assam, which is West Bengal's neighbor, and rice cultivation in West Bengal. Okay, so you see, this is not only called calamity, but it is actually important for the agriculturists, for the cultivation of certain crops. Alright, without it the cultivation will not yield good harvest. Okay. Now the next such local term is lu. The local terms that we are learning are the terms which are given to the wind, which brings thunderstorms and heavy rain during the season of summer. Okay. Now what is lu? Lu is a very unique feature of hot weather season. When we are experiencing summer season, then we often also experience lu during that season. Lu is also the wind, right? So this wind is strong, hot and very dry. Okay? And it blows during the day. It does not blow at any time. It blows only during the day. And where does it blow? It blows in the northern and western part of India. So the northern and western part of India experiences lu. Because it is very strong, hot and dry, it causes heat strokes. Okay? And heat strokes are not good, right? People cannot bear this lu many times and people die. It also leads to other problems, crop failure, other things. Alright. Now in May, this lu brings dust storms in the evening. Okay, during the day it is very hot, but in the evening it brings dust storms, and because of that it brings some relief during the evening. So even though you feel extremely hot during the day, but by the evening you feel much better because it begins to feel little cooler. And that cool breeze is accompanied, or that coolness is accompanied by light drizzle, meaning very light rainfall. Okay, but in some areas they do not experience dust storms or they do not experience light drizzle, but they experience thunderstorms with violent winds, very dangerous winds. I don't know if you have heard, sometimes when the wind is very strong, it appears as if something is howling outside, right? It has a very strong sound with the force with which it blows. Okay, and in some areas it brings torrential rainfall with hailstorms. All right, so you see the lu not only is hot, dry, strong wind, but sometimes it is accompanied by other weather conditions. It leads to thunderstorms, it leads to hailstorms, it leads to torrential rainfall, meaning constant rainfall for a long time. Okay, very heavy rainfall. The third local name for the wind that we are discussing is the mango shower. Now this mango shower, it's shower meaning rainfall, which is not for a long time but for a short time, right? Now this mango shower is caused by the southeast trade wind. Now this is caused or experienced towards the end of the summertime. So we are learning about the summer season. Towards the end of that season, mango showers take place. Okay, and where? In the states of Kerala and Karnataka, not everywhere, in the states of Kerala and Karnataka. And these there in the states of Kerala and Karnataka are also known as pre-monsoon showers, because this mango shower occurs right before their rainy season. Okay. Now this shower, again, just like Kalisaki in West Bengal, is very important for the states of Kerala and Karnataka. Why? Because they grow mangoes, and for the ripening of the mangoes, this shower plays a big role. Okay, without the showers, the ripening of the mangoes do not take place properly. So with the shower, the mangoes ripen and they have good harvest. Okay. So as we come to the end of the hot weather season, let us look at some of the characteristic features of the summer season. Okay, some of the key features. So the hot summer season is very dry and excessive heat is experienced in parts of our country. The sun shines during this season right on the Tropic of Cancer, directly on the Tropic of Cancer. Okay. Tropical part of India, it experiences very high temperature. Okay. Whereas the coastal regions along the coast, it experiences low range of temperature, not as high temperature as the tropical part of India. Okay. The interior parts in the similar manner experiences high temperature, while the exterior close to the ocean does not experience as high temperature as those in the interior of the country. Okay. And during this season, India experiences thunderstorms with dusty wind. Okay. And it is also accompanied by rainfall. Okay. So with that, let us move on to another season, the second season, which is the cold weather season or the winter, as we call it. So the winter sets in India by mid-November, by the middle of the month of November, and it remains till February, till the month of February. Okay. So between November and February, the coldest months are December and January. Okay. So during this season, there is a decrease in temperature. Obviously, when we feel cold, when we think of winter, we automatically think of low temperature, right? So the decrease in temperature which is occurring during the winter season, it occurs from north to south, not only in one region, not only in one part, but from north to south, the decrease in temperature occurs. So Chennai experiences average temperature of 24 to 25 degrees Celsius. The northern plains, which lies next or at the foothills of the Himalayas. So the northern plains experiences 10 to 15 degrees Celsius as its average temperature. And the northern parts of the country, it experiences a average temperature as 21 degrees Celsius. Okay. So here also you see when we were learning about the hot summer or the hot weather season, where we say India experiences rise in temperature, but that rise in temperature varies from place to place, from region to region. In the similar manner, when we say during the winter season the temperature falls, but that fall in the temperature also is distinct or is also different from one region to the other. If some are very cold, the other regions are not as cold as those regions. They are quite warmer or cool. Alright. So the temperature is very low in states of Himachal Pradesh, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab and Haryana than the other parts. Okay. Here the night temperature, at night the temperature falls below the freezing point. So at the freezing point we have snowfall. Right. Now the temperature goes below the freezing point at night. Okay. The Dras Valley, which is in Jammu and Kashmir in our country, that is the coldest place in India, the Dras Valley. Remember this. Okay. There the minimum temperature, the lowest the temperature can go is minus 45 degrees Celsius, minus in negative. Okay. The northernmost parts of the Himalayas, because it lies in the mountainous zone. Okay, so there heavy snowfall is experienced during the winter or the cold weather season, and that snowfall with the freezing temperature in that area, it results in the development of cold waves, and this cold waves blows out of the Himalayan region, and it envelops the surrounding states or the surrounding areas, and those areas are Punjab, Haryana and the northern plains, which lie directly on the foot of the Himalayas. Okay. So during the winter season, the sun rays fall on the south of Tropic of Cancer. During the summer, it fell directly on the Tropic of Cancer, but now it falls away from the Tropic of Cancer. Okay. Now here the coastal, even during the winter season, the coastal regions experience warm weather condition. Okay, there is little change in the temperature. All right. Now in the north, we were just discussing how the Himalayas experience snowfall, the temperature at night falls below the freezing point, and how the areas of the northern plains and the surrounding states are enveloped by cold waves. But if you come towards the south, in the peninsular part of India or in the coastal regions, then it is not as cold as that we have learned just now, because of the location of it, because of how it is positioned and surrounded by water bodies. Here the change of temperature, the change in temperature even during winter is very little. Okay, and the average temperature here is above 21 degrees Celsius. So 21 degrees Celsius is warm, is quite warm. It's not hot, it's not cold, it is warm. Okay. And during the winter season, the sun rays fall directly over the Tropic of Capricorn. Okay. So in the summer, the sun rays directly fell on the Tropic of Cancer, and in the winter, the sun rays falls directly on the Tropic of Capricorn, okay, which lies towards the south of equator. And the Indian subcontinent, because of this reason, receives oblique rays of sun. Oblique means when the sun rays are direct, then it is straight. Okay, when we said in the summer, the sun rays fall directly on the Tropic of Cancer, direct. But now we are saying the sun rays fall directly on Tropic of Capricorn. Okay, now the concentration of the sun rays is on Tropic of Capricorn, but India lies towards the north of Tropic of Capricorn, right? So the sun rays that come towards the Indian subcontinent is not direct or not in straight line, but rather it is in oblique form. Okay, it is in oblique form, so it is not as intense as that of the direct rays. Okay. During the winter, high pressure is developed on the land. Okay. And the low pressure is developed on the water bodies. So how in the summer season we were saying that with the rise in temperature, there is a development of low pressure areas. Okay. Now in the winter, there is decrease in temperature. So with the decreased fall in temperature, the pressure is high on land. But in the water bodies, the temperature is low, the temperature is high, and hence the air pressure is low. Okay, so on land is high pressure, and on the water bodies the low pressure, and the wind flows from high to low. So the wind starts blowing towards the low pressure areas, which is the land areas, right, from the water bodies. The water bodies are Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal. Okay. So during the winter, the wind starts to blow from Bay of Bengal. Okay, one of the water bodies in the east. So from Bay of Bengal, the wind starts to blow towards the land. All right. Now it is forced to, that wind could blow directly, right? We have seen So if this is the map of India, this is West Bengal. So this right here is Bay of Bengal. Now we are saying that Bay of Bengal has low pressure and the land here has high pressure, right? So the wind blows from, this is low pressure, this is high pressure. So the wind blows from high to low, from here to the low. Now if you look at the map, the wind can blow from Bay of Bengal directly into the land, but because here we have the Eastern Ghats, right, and the Deccan Plateaus, now the wind is redirected and it is forced to blow via Indo-Gangetic Plain, here the northern plains, okay, because of the Deccan Plateau here, okay. And then it blows from northeast to southwest direction. So from here it goes to the northeast, and from the northeast it flows towards the southwest, okay. And this wind which flows from Bay of Bengal to the northeast and then comes back to the southwest is called the northeast monsoon. And the northeast monsoon brings rain to that part of the area, which we'll learn about it soon, okay. So this monsoon wind, the northeast monsoon wind, which is blowing from the Bay of Bengal, from the sea to the land, it causes the season to be dry, okay. Now so this wind which blows from Bay of Bengal in the northeast direction and then again blows towards the southwest direction, this wind is called the northeast monsoon. Now this northeast monsoon, as you can see, it first blows from sea to land and then from land to sea back again, okay. Now when it blows from land to sea in the southwest direction, then it causes a dry season, okay. But at the same time, the same wind also brings rain to Tamil Nadu, okay. It also lets Tamil Nadu experience rain, okay, because the same wind reaches here again from the sea. So you can see how the same wind is blowing from land, from sea to land, and from there it goes around the Gangetic Plains and then goes in the southwest direction, goes back to the sea. When it goes back to the sea, it causes dry season. Again from there it again comes back to the mainland, from sea to back to the land, and then it brings moisture, it brings rain, and then it causes rain in the state of Tamil Nadu, okay. Now while this is happening in North India, a very weak high pressure area is developed, okay. It is a high pressure area, but then that high pressure area is very weak, not as strong as it was before, okay. So when the high pressure is weak, the wind blows outwards, okay, because the wind blows from high to low, right. So the wind blows outwards. Now it cannot directly blow outward, right, because it has Himalayas in its north. So because of the relief, because the wind is obstructed, or because the blow of that wind, the movement of that wind is impacted, affected by the relief, the geographical feature, then again it blows through the Ganga Valley from the west and northwest. So it finds the Himalayas as an obstruction, as a natural obstruction, and then it turns and moves towards the Ganga Valley in the west and then towards the northwest, okay. During this time, the characteristics or the features of this season, the winter season, is that we have clear sky and then the temperature is low and also low humidity. meaning the moisture content in the air. The moisture content in the air is very low. If it is high, then we have high humidity. But if the moisture content is low, then we have low humidity. Now, another prominent characteristics of this season is the depression from west and northwest. Depression basically is a weather condition which is formed as a result of the development of low pressure. Okay, now you already know how low pressure and high pressure are created, right? So when the temperature is high, the pressure is low. When the temperature is low, the pressure is high. So the low pressure or the depression from the west and northwestern part of India is also another main characteristic features of the winter season. Why? Because this also causes or this also influences or causes to affect the season of this particular time. Okay. Now this depression, this low pressure from the west and northwest is known as the western disturbances because it's coming from the western side of our country. Okay. And this affects the cold weather season that we experience in India. Okay. Now this western disturbances, it's the wind. Okay. This actually originates over the Mediterranean Sea and the Western Asia. So Asia, you can imagine the map in your mind. So you think of western part of Asia and then you go further towards the west and you find Mediterranean Sea. So from there, the western disturbances originate and it flows from the western part and northwestern part of India towards India. Okay. And this wind is brought by another wind which is called westerly jet stream. Okay. There are so many movements of wind in various directions and these movements in various directions is constantly impacting, affecting, influencing the weather and the seasons of different parts of the countries in the world. That is why when we are saying that this particular wind coming from this area is brought by another movement of the wind to the northern part of India, causing the cold weather season. Okay, so this is why always remember it's not only here in India, it's not only these wind which is influencing the weather, but at the same time there are so many movements, but these are just some of the important ones which are influencing or causing to change the weather or the temperature in India. Okay. Now this western disturbances is very important in the winter season. Okay. Because vital winter rain which is required by the land is caused by this low pressure system. The low pressure which develops in the west and northwestern part of India and which is brought to India by the westerly jet stream. It brings the rain, the winter rain, okay, to India. And this is also very important for agriculture, for the proper functioning of things in India. Okay, so because of that, this western disturbances is also very important. Okay, so in the plain areas, okay, in the northern plains, the winter rain is experienced. This is all happening in the winter season. Okay, so in the plains, in the northern plains, the winter rain is experienced, and this rain is very important for the rabi crops. Okay, the crops which are harvested soon after the winter season. And then at the same time, snowfall is experienced in the Himalayas. Okay, but the peninsular region does not have distinct winter season. A winter season is something where the temperature falls down drastically and the temperature is very low. But the peninsular part of India, even during winter, they have winter, but the only difference is they do not have distinct winter season because of their location, because of the influence, the moderating influence of the ocean and the sea. The fall in temperature is not as much, okay, because of the influence of the sea and the water body that surrounds it, okay. So this is what happens in India, or how the winter season is caused in India. Alright, so as we finish learning about it, now let us quickly look at the main characteristic features of the cold weather season. So during the cold weather season, the monsoon wind, which is called the northeast monsoon wind, becomes very important. It takes over from the southwest. So the main feature of the cold weather season in India is that the northeast monsoon comes out to be the prominent wind during this time, and it takes over from the southwest monsoon. The southwest monsoon is the prominent wind in the hot weather season, okay, but in the cold weather season, it's the northeast monsoon which becomes prominent or important. The second feature is that during the winter season, there is light rainfall in the northwest, okay, and this is caused by the western disturbances, and this rainfall is very important for the rabi crops, okay, and this is important for the wheat cultivation in the northwest and the rice in the Tamil Nadu, in the state of Tamil Nadu, because we just learned that how the northeast monsoon wind from land to sea, it goes and then again comes back to the land, and when that happens, it also brings rainfall in the state of Tamil Nadu. Now that rainfall caused during the winter season is very important for the rice cultivation in that state, okay, and during this season, temperature decreases from north of Tropic of Cancer. Temperature decreases towards the north of Tropic of Cancer, meaning the south of Tropic of Cancer remains not so cooler, not so cold, but the regions lying towards the north of the Tropic of Cancer, there the temperature drastically decreases. But in the south, it does not. Why? Because of the moderating impact or effect of the ocean and the sea, okay. And some of the key features of the weather condition is that during this time the weather is cool, the humidity is low, and there is large variation in the range of temperature. That means the temperature is not same in all the states, in all the regions. It varies, okay, and the variation is not small, it's large. Like for example, if you go to the Himalayan state, the states that lie in the Himalayas or close to the Himalayas, it experiences heavy snowfall. The night temperature goes below the freezing point. Alright, but if you come towards the south, the Deccan and the peninsular part of India, the average temperature is 21 degrees Celsius even during the winter. So you can see the variation is very large. Okay. Now the third season that our country has is called advancing monsoon season. This is the season where the monsoon arrives, where India experiences rainfall. Okay. Now what happens during this season? During this season, low pressure is developed over northwestern plains by early June. Okay. By early June, the in the northwestern plain areas, low pressure is developed. And now this development of low pressure attracts strong winds. Okay, so the wind blows from high to low. Okay, when there is a creation or development of low pressure area in any region, then the wind begins to blow, or it begins to attract wind from high pressure area. So it attracts strong winds. And what is that strong wind? That strong wind is another trade wind which comes from the southern hemisphere. the southern part of equator. Okay, so the wind which originates there, that trade wind is attracted towards the low pressure area created in the northwestern part of India. Okay, so the trade wind originates in the southern hemisphere, and this is called southeast trade winds. Okay, the southeast trade winds. Now this trade winds, it blows over Indian Ocean, crosses the equator, okay, and then it follows the southwestern direction. All right. Now, as they pass over equatorial warm currents, as it flows over the equator, which is very warm, then it carries lot of moisture. Okay, it picks up moisture, and then it begins to move towards the southwestern direction of India. Okay, and that moisture laden trade wind, is the wind which brings the rain in India. Okay, so the monsoons are pulsating winds. That means the monsoon winds are not steady winds. They are always fluctuating. Okay, they are always sometimes strong, sometimes not strong, sometimes carrying moisture, sometimes not carrying moisture. So they are not steady. Okay, but the trade winds are steady winds. Okay. So that's the difference between monsoon winds and the trade winds. The trade winds are steady while the monsoon winds are pulsating winds. Okay. And the trade winds are also strong winds, and they blow at a speed of 30 kilometers per hour. Okay. And this trade wind originating from the southern hemisphere and blowing across Indian Ocean, across equator, in a southwestern direction of the country, that blows all over the country in a month's time. So this is all happening just in a month. Okay, they are attracted by the low pressure area created in the northwestern region of our country, and they are flowing over the ocean and then coming towards our country. Okay, bringing moisture. So it blows all over the country except the northwestern part of India. Okay, and it causes violent thunder and lightning. Okay, but along with causing thunder and lightning, it is moisture laden. It carries moisture. Okay, so with that, it has moisture, and then it causes violent thunder and lightning, because this is a trade wind. Winds are strong, steady winds, right? So this wind causes rainfall, causes thunder as well as lightning. This is why when the rainfall occurs along with violent thunder and lightning, then this is called breaking the monsoon. Okay, because they are actually starting the monsoon. Okay. Now this is the southwest monsoon, right? This southwest monsoon, it brings major change in the weather, because it is causing rainfall. Okay. Now the monsoon which experiences in India, that monsoon in the peninsula part of India is divided into two branches. Okay, because they varies according to the changes or what influences them. Alright. So the first one is the Arabian Sea Branch, and the second one is the Bay of Bengal branch, because the wind is influenced by the water bodies. One is the Arabian Sea and the other is the Bay of Bengal. Okay. First, let us look at the Arabian Sea Branch. Now, this Arabian Sea Branch, it causes heavy rainfall along the western Ghats. Okay. Now, the southwest monsoon wind is the primary southwest monsoon wind. Okay. This is the main wind which is causing monsoon. Okay. Now this wind, the Arabian Sea Branch of this wind, it causes rainfall in the Western Ghat. But the Western Ghats, if you look, it has two sides. Although there are not so tall hills, there are small hills. Okay, so the rainfall that occurs is only on one side. Why? Because as this wind flows from the southwest direction towards the mainland India, it then comes in contact with the Western Ghat. Now it hits the hills. When it hits the hills, it causes rainfall, and the rainfall is experienced on the side of the hill where the wind comes in contact. That means on the other side of the hill, there is no rainfall, because this wind cannot cross over. They are heavy winds. Okay, they are moisture laden, they are heavy, so they cannot go up and then cross the hill and then again go down the slope of the hill. They can't do that. Okay, so because of that, only the wind side, the side where the wind comes in direct contact first with the Western Ghat, is where the rainfall is experienced. Okay, so the area which lies on the other side of this hill, that is the Deccan Plateau. Now all the rain is already fallen, already experienced in the wind side of the Western Ghat. So the Deccan Plateau, which lies on the other side of the Western Ghat, does not experience rainfall, or even if it experiences very little rainfall. Okay, and that area is called rain shadow area, because it is in the shadow area. Okay, where the wind cannot reach. Alright, now this wind, as it goes northwards from the southwest direction, it crosses, it causes rainfall in the Western Ghats, and then it begins to move northwards. Okay, as it moves northwards, the rainfall decreases, because most of the moisture that it was carrying has already fallen in the Western Ghat. Okay, now as it moves northwards, there is again another range of hills which are called Aravalli Hills. Okay, now this wind flows in parallel direction to how the Aravalli Hills are located. Okay, so the Aravalli Hills do not cause any obstruction. Obstruction means it does not block the wind. Okay, because both of them, the wind also flows in the same direction of the Aravalli Hills towards the north. So the Aravalli Hills cause no obstruction to the wind. Now this moisture laden wind, it crosses the Aravalli Hills and then it moves towards Rajasthan. But in Rajasthan, a very interesting thing happens. Okay, now Rajasthan has desert. It's a desert area, which means it's very hot. The temperature is very high. Now that heat in the desert or in Rajasthan, it makes the wind, the southwest wind, to hold the moisture. Hold the moisture for longer. Okay, it does not let the heat does not let the moisture to break and cause rainfall, but rather the heat leads the wind to hold on to the moisture even tightly. Because of that, the areas of Rajasthan, the desert area, does not receive any rainfall. Okay, and after that, this branch, Arabian Sea branch of the monsoon wind, it gets exhausted by the time it reaches Punjab. So from Rajasthan, it goes towards Punjab in the north. Okay, but by that time it gets exhausted. All its force, all its strength, all its moisture is already depleted. Okay, it's over. Now let us look at the Bay of Bengal branch. Until now we looked at the Arabian branch of the monsoon wind, which is the southwest monsoon. Okay, now we'll look at the Bay of Bengal branch. Now this Bay of Bengal branch of the monsoon wind, it causes rainfall first in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands and in Sri Lanka. Okay, in Sri Lanka and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The winds then advance northeast to the northeast. Okay, and then when it does, it picks up moisture from the Bay of Bengal. So first the wind comes from the southwest, right, the southwest direction, and then it goes towards the Bay of Bengal. Now when it goes to Bay of Bengal, the wind had already had moisture. Now that moisture causes downpour or rainfall in Sri Lanka and Andaman Nicobar Islands. From there it moves northeast. Okay, as it moves northeast, it picks up again another batch of moisture from Bay of Bengal because it is blowing across the water body, which is the Bay of Bengal. Okay, now this moisture laden wind targets a place where it is attracted, and that is northern Myanmar. Okay, that area attracts this wind because in that area low pressure develops. Okay, so the wind always blows towards the low pressure from high pressure. Okay, now when it gets attracted towards the northern Myanmar area, then from there this wind goes further north, and then when it reaches Shillong, okay, there in a place called Monsoon near Cherrapunji, there are hills. Okay, now these hills acts as a trap for this wind. Okay, so a trap is something which captures the wind. Okay, so the hills there acts as a trap, and then this because of the trap that these hills cause, then the rain-bearing wind which is coming from the Bay of Bengal is made to cause rainfall there. Okay, so they are forced to shed the moisture that they carried all the way from Bay of Bengal. Okay, now after they shed all the moisture, or after they cause a rainfall in Cherrapunji area, then it is deflected towards the west. Okay, along the Himalayas, and the rainfall goes on decreasing as it moves on towards the west, towards the Ganga Valley. Okay, now this Bay of Bengal branch of the southwest monsoon wind finally merges with the Arabian Sea Branch. Okay, and this two merged monsoon wind, it gives rainfall to West Bengal, Indo-Gangetic Plain, Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Punjab. Okay. So here in this map you can see the advancing monsoon wind. So we said how the wind southwest monsoon, it has two branches, right? One is the Arabian Sea Branch and two is the Bay of Bengal branch. So the Arabian Sea Branch, from here it flows, this is the Arabian Sea Branch and this is the Bay of Bengal branch, and it merges here. You can see how it merges and it causes rainfall in this area. Okay. So that was advancing monsoon season. Now we will look at the fourth season of India, that is retreating monsoon season. Okay. Now let us see what happens in the retreating monsoon season. Now during this time, the low pressure of the northern part of India, it grows weaker by the October-November month, by the time of October and November. Okay. Now this low pressure, as it grows weaker, it is replaced by the high pressure. Okay. And then as its outreach, the outreach of the monsoon wind, the southwest monsoon wind, as it gets exhausted, as it can no longer shed moisture, then what happens? It gradually begins to withdraw. It gradually begins to return. Okay. Now that returning of the southwest monsoon wind is called the retreat of monsoon. Okay. Now the retreat of monsoon begins in the month of or by the month of October. Okay, from the northern plains. So we know how they were merging in the northern plains and causing rainfall in that area, northern and northwestern. Right? Now from there, by October, they slowly begins to return. And that is the retreating monsoon. Okay. Now as it returns, okay, there is transition from hot, rainy to dry and cold season. Okay. And this transition occurs between the month of October and November. Alright. So change in the season is also caused by the rainfall. Okay. The movement of the wind, and that occurs in the retreating monsoon season in the month of October and November. And during this time, the skies are clear, the rising temperature and retreating monsoon. Okay. So the temperature, so the change in the transition in the weather is that from clear sky to rising temperature, it becomes drier and cooler temperature. Okay, because by that time the monsoon is retreating. So during this time the days have higher temperature, but the nights have pleasant and cool weather. Okay, and the land during this time is moist, it's not dry. Okay, and during the daytime the temperature is high and it also has humidity. The moisture content is also fairly present. Okay, and because of how it is hot during the day and cool during the night, okay, this is called October heat during this time, and that is experienced during the early October. Okay, but by late October it is no longer that hot, it is no longer that pleasant or cool in the night. Okay, because there is drastic fall in the temperature by late October. Okay, and that drastic fall in the temperature is more in the northern part of India than in the peninsular part of India. Okay, so the northwestern India's low pressure conditions move to the Bay of Bengal area by early November. Okay, so the northwestern part where the low pressure is being developed, that begins to move towards the Bay of Bengal area by early November. Okay, and that movement is caused by the cyclonic depressions. Depressions are caused by low pressure development. So the low pressure development occurs in the Bay of Bengal. Now that attracts the wind in the northwestern part of India and it begins to move towards the cyclonic depression in the Bay of Bengal area. Okay. So this cyclonic depression occurs in the Andaman Sea, the water bodies surrounding the Andaman islands. Okay. Now because these depressions are not able to cross the eastern coast, because we have eastern Ghats again. So because they are not able to cross the eastern coast, they spread heavy rains. Okay, the heavy rains in the areas that are located in that region. Alright, let us see what are these areas. The areas are the Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri river delta areas. Okay, so these rivers and these areas lie along the eastern Ghats. Now these the cyclonic depression, they cannot cross over the eastern Ghats. As a result, they cause rainfall. They hit the eastern Ghats, they shed the moisture, and as a result, rainfall is experienced. But as you can see, they're also driven by the cyclonic depression. They're also driven by the strong circular motion of wind that is being developed in the Andaman Sea and Bay of Bengal. Okay, so as a result of that movement of the wind, it causes loss of life, loss of property on a large scale. So these are quite destructive in nature, the cyclonic depressions. Okay, and from the southern part, it slowly arrives in Orissa, West Bengal and Bangladesh coasts. So earlier it is in the area of Godavari, Krishna and Kaveri, and then it moves upwards, northwards to Orissa, Bengal and Bangladesh. Okay, so this also causes rain in the Coromandel coast, the southern part of the eastern Ghat area. Okay. Now the retreating monsoon, it causes rainfall in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. The monsoon which retreats, alright, which is retreating from the northwestern part into West Bengal and then going to the southern part of our country, that causes rainfall in Tamil Nadu and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, and they are also influenced by the cyclonic depression. Okay, so the winds are very strong, the clouds are very dense, and there is thundering and heavy downpour or heavy rainfall. Okay, so this is what happens during the retreating monsoon season. So here you can see how the wind blows. From here it goes towards this direction. Okay, this is the Arabian branch of monsoon wind, and then it goes, this is the direction. Okay,